have a little bit of an echo.
I know.
Where's that coming from?
I'm not really sure.
Are we good?
I think
It's
we're good.
okay. She was just coming up there. Okay, sorry. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Orndorff,
Here.
Commissioner Hewitt,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sui, Commissioner Watson,
Here.
Commissioner Romanek.
Here.
You could stand for the salute of the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Open Publics Meeting Act of 1975, was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by statute. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Madam Clerk, were there any changes to the agenda?
No, Mayor.
Okay, and public comment on agenda items only. If anybody has any questions or comments on agenda items, please come to the podium, state those, and leave your comments to 5 minutes. Not everybody's jumping all up at one time, so it looks like there's no public comment. We'll close that for this evening for agenda items only. Move on to discussion of commissioners. Commissioner Romanek.
Mayor, I believe I do not have anything at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hewitt.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. This is going to be a little bit lengthy. For my report this evening, I want to address the following issues. The Department of Public Safety is hard at work on a daily basis and performing their jobs well for the citizens of Millville. We are very busy as a city with all types of events going on, which I will touch on later. Please understand that social media is not a way to report a crime or emergency. Call the MPD or FD via 911. I do oversee these departments, but I am not the person to contact in a serious situation. The homeless situation needs to be addressed. The problem is not going away on its own. The city has experienced a lot in the last month. With that said, I will do all I can with the chiefs and command staff in public safety to be as proactive as we can to make a difference. At the same time, I must say, I have every bit of confidence that MPD is doing all they can within the law that they must follow. In the last few weeks, I personally have been throughout the city doing different things. We had a great 4th of July celebration. 4th Friday had a rain date the following week. I started there. It was a good turnout. Then I had to leave to head over to Hankins Pond. Sadly, that was a gathering and discussion about our city and what's going on with it. In attendance were community leaders, no need to name them, but key to this gathering were the parents and kids. The county prosecutor and sheriff were there along with myself and the community policing unit. I understand everybody is busy, but this is one event I felt was a priority for the Board of Commissioners to attend and show their support. When that ended, I headed back to 4th Friday, spend more time there. That was cut short by a fire call. I was glad to attend the PAL Fishing for Kids Day at Hankins Pond. Had a great turnout, and those kids fished the whole 3 hours. We even had a Guess the Commissioner's Age contest. Thank you to the girl and her cousin. One guessed that I was 99 years old. Yeah.
Did you tell her she was off?
The other one guessed 58 years old.
Wrong error.
Then it just went crazy from there. That event was also attended by Millville PD, school resource officers, and community policing units. I've been to the firehouse at night. I've seen pickleball games for kids in the neighborhood. Mayor Orndorff has been there to tour the department, along with Commissioner Watson and his family. Vice Mayor Sui has been there. Commissioner Romanek invited the PD, the fire department, and EMTs to his church picnic on July 4th, to get platters. This is greatly appreciated. That's enough of that. Now to the so-called expectations of the residents that will call me or call me out on Facebook. If residents are parking on sidewalks or curbs, example on East Main Street, Broad Street, call the PD. The PD will respond the same way if I call them or a resident does. If someone thinks they hear gunshots, call the PD. I see it all the time, posted on Facebook. Did anybody hear sirens? My Ring doorbell says shots nearby. Where are the police? The police does not respond via Facebook. Sorry. I get calls from residents wanting to know what's going on when they hear sirens. It's not my job to tell you that, nor the PD. I do get notified of bad issues when warranted, but that is not for me to pass on for public information or this commission. That said, people seem to feel they should be told everything. That is not the police chief or my decision. Public notifications for shootings, stabbings, and deaths, sadly, we do have them. Every town has them. Are the responsibility of the Cumberland County prosecutor. As to the homeless and such, I got a call from a resident one evening recently asking if I knew of a place that would help someone. That person had followed the Millville Trail for 3 days from North Jersey to Millville. What do I say to that? If there is a Millville Trail, why? Could it be that it's just too easy for people that are having hard times or choose that life to come to Millville? Are there too many groups that in trying to help these folks actually embolden them? At my last count, we have 10 to 14 organizations that say they help. I propose we have our business administrator look into one large homeless camp for the city like other municipalities that surround us have done. It's their responsibility and the commission's responsibility to figure it out with this homeless situation. It's not a contest between community groups to see who's best. That's why we have what we have. So I will end with what I need, and we need a commission, the commission to make a start. Commissioners, this is what I'm going to ask. Yes, we have an increase in crime in Millville. There's many contributing factors, and we need to work together. In the police department, we have increased walking patrols, we have increased bicycle patrols, and we have started building a list of problem properties. But we need to collectively have a call to action. One department will not solve these problems. My department needs help from the other departments. Commissioner Romanek, I'd like to work with your department on a list of problem properties, hopefully leading to an increase in demolitions and code enforcement. Mayor Orndorff, I'd like to work with you and your department on cut and clean properties, problem properties that the city owns. Commissioner Watson, work with you and your department. Your department is driving around town. If they see a problem property, let me know so we can add it to the list. Fire department, I've asked to do that also, because our inspectors are out doing inspections and code enforcement. I'll wait for Vice Mayor Suey, but we all know what we need from Vice Mayor Suey. Financing, line item budgets, and money. It's crucial that we all work together on this. I believe if we do work together, we can improve the safety for the citizens of Millville. It is what we promised when we ran. Any ideas that any of you have, I would be glad to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody want to comment to that before we move on, or do we just want to make comments as you? 'Cause I have a few.
I was going to say during the regular session that we are working on an abandoned property list moving forward, and that will be submitted later this week.
Okay.
And that will help with collectively as a city to either figure out what the next step for those abandoned properties as the city, or as individuals may say, hey, we want to come by, get this, and do the whole fixing, cleaning, revamp process that people like to do in every municipalities all over the country. So that will be submitted later this week. It's going to be a project that'll take many months, but at least we'll get a finite list coming very shortly.
Believe me, I know. The commission prior to the commission that had seats before we did, they did exactly what I'm asking, exactly what you said, Commissioner Romney. They made a list. There was a commissioner that walked the streets with employees on the 5th floor, crawled in and out of abandoned houses. That commission, one person sits here with us, knocked down houses that were not rehabable, that it was just trouble. That's what I'm asking for. I'm asking, let's put that effort in. I'm really glad that you mentioned that what you're doing.
Correct, and obviously there's going to be some that are where a legality issue with
Yes.
whether insurance comes through, and that obviously takes longer, and sometimes the public doesn't know all the ins and outs, like certain firehouses that get demolished by fire. There's certain issues that pop up during the way before they can get taken down. But yes, I appreciate that.
Key is we have the support staff. They've done it before. We're not going to put it on their shoulders as a new object to take care of.
Correct.
They'll be ready for it.
The only thing I'm going to add is, talk to the department head and see what we come up with to work efficiently and effectively to help you out.
Yeah, 'cause you guys are out there all the time.
Yep.
If I may add, what we can do and what's been done in the past is, if there's really a problem property that's a nuisance or is really unsafe, we can, if the public officer issues a report to me, I can then file a complaint that gets heard in this chamber by you. It also gets recorded at the county courthouse, so it becomes sort of a quasi-lien. And then we would have a hearing, and we would have to, normally when you do that, you need to do a title search, because you need to give notice to anyone that has an interest in the property, including a mortgage holder or lien holder. And at that hearing, that entity has the right to appear. And then normally what would happen would be, if there's a finding that it's a nuisance, that there'd be a period of time that they would have to abate the nuisance. If they don't do it, the city could either abate the nuisance and put a lien on the property, or demolish the property if it's really an unsafe property, or it's, there's a lot of criminal activity there, and it's not,
Exactly.
it's boarded and secured, and people just rip the boards off, and there are illegal activities occurring to the detriment of the neighborhood. Based on testimony that that's the case, the board could make a finding that it's a nuisance property and could be demolished in certain cases.
And
Yeah.
you were a solicitor at that time that
Yeah.
I'm referring back to, so
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
putting forward. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
We just got to do it.
Yeah.
So my comments, I'm going to start back with being contact on a Facebook. I have a lot of people that reach out through Facebook, just as you do. And most of the time I respond to people, but unfortunately sometimes I'm unable, whether I'm at work or I'm in the hospital caring for my child, or there's another issue, I'm unable to get to my Facebook account. I do ask everybody to contact City Hall, email me directly, and my email is obviously on the website, my phone number, my extension, and I will be able to contact you that way. If I'm unable to reach you, there's somebody at City Hall able to speak to the public. As far as events, the same way. If you would like me to be at an event, please contact the city directly. Send a city email to me, not just through my Facebook. Again, I still do answer a lot of those messages, and just to make sure that everybody knows I am looking at them when I can. And to reference your event at Hakens Pond, that I did respond to the person who is actually 2 or 3 people invited me, and I was away out of town on vacation. So Commissioner Hewitt, that is why I was unable to attend. I would have been there if I was in Millville at the time. So I want to let everybody know that I was invited. I clearly told the person I was not able to attend because I was out of town, as I do for any event if I'm unable to attend. So I want to just state that there. If you need somebody, call City Hall. Don't Facebook message any of us. That's not the best way to contact us. You mentioned the homeless issue. That is not just here in Millville. It's not Cumberland County. It's not just the state of New Jersey. It is unfortunately across our country. And yes, we as a commission can try to do as much as we can, but our hands are tied at so many different levels. We can fight our governor. We can suggest things. We can get money. We can apply for grants. But that is a battle bigger than us. And we can try, and I think we have sat down, we've talked to people, we've talked to different organizations, and try to just brainstorm, what ideas we can do to help this community. A lot of the community doesn't want to be helped.
You're correct.
And that is
Sadly,
another part of the
yes.
issue. So yes, it's very sad. When I see a veteran on the streets, that breaks my heart. There's no reason a veteran who served our country should be on the streets. The government should take care of that. Unfortunately, we as a commission of Millville, New Jersey cannot change that homeless issue. We can only try. And I think all of us have been trying to make ideas and suggestions to that. As far as working with my department, last week we had our land sale solicitor, if you could correct me, I think we had almost $300,000 in land sales. So we cut our properties that we owned more than in half. So that's going to alleviate the city's issues big time, as long as those property owners respect their property and cut and clean them. So we do ask anybody to respect your property, take pride in it, and keep it clean. So our city-owned properties has come down. So again, all of our departments have some of the things that you mentioned and you asked of us already in working order. So I think that what we need to do is continue to work together as we said we would do when we campaigned, and we'll continue to cross things off our list.
Exactly. That's basically what I'm asking for. It's, and with everything else adding up, which we can't control.
Right.
Some of
Obviously,
the
there's
violence.
things that we cannot control. I think that there was a property, Commissioner Romanek and myself had already switched apartments. Again, somebody reached out to me, and I said, contact the city. Well, in the long story short, I was just told we don't have the money to get rid of that property, and we'll just have to see what happens. That's not okay.
Correct.
But sometimes our hands as a commission are tied, and we can't do anything. So, and that's a lot of the things that you said that we can't say to the public, or the public doesn't know the whole story, just because of litigation or whatever it may be. But we are working on everything that you mentioned. Brock.
Yeah, one of the things I would say is that one of the benefits of the abandoned property list is, one, if you're on that list, it's kind of like there's a lien or a cloud of title on your property that would be desirable to have removed. The other thing is, when the other significance of that is that it does give a tax foreclosure entity, and there's lots of them that buy tax liens and when we sell them, it gives them an expedited right to foreclose a property. So normally, if they purchase a tax sale certificate, they have to wait 2 years before they can foreclose that property and get control of it and hopefully rehab it and make it into a habitable property. If it's on the abandoned property list, there's an expedited right to immediately file foreclosure action, gain control of the property, and then you can rehab it, and because that's why they would want it. I mean, you don't want to acquire the property and then have it be a problem and get a lot of fines from the city. So that's something that I think can work well for us, and I think we can continue to pursue. It's not something that costs the city any money, though, because you're utilizing these other entities to come in and buy those tax certificates, file their own foreclosure actions, and then get control of the properties.
We had a gentleman come here and present himself to us in the beginning of our commission. That's exactly what he did. I don't know where that ever went, but that's what he brought forward to us that one night, right in the
Yeah, I
early
remember
stages.
he spoke
you know.
about it, yeah.
There are ways, you know what I'm saying, it's disheartening. You get calls, I get calls, we all get calls. We just gotta
But
try.
We're working and we are trying, and I would hate to think that people think we're sitting on our hands doing nothing. So, Rock and Ray and Joe, all of us are working, and everybody, all the city workers are working hard. We're short-staffed, and it's a lot of work. So, and I give everybody a lot of credit for the job that they do. So, that was my comments on that. I don't really have any other comments as far as the work session this evening. I do appreciate you being my backup for when my daughter was in the hospital. That was a rough road, so I do appreciate your backup. So that's all I had. Did anybody else have any other comments for just our commission comments?
Nope.
Okay. No new business, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. And we'll just close with the public comment. If anybody would like to address the commission, please come to the podium, state your name, address, and your concerns. Please limit those comments to 5 minutes.
Mary Messick here of Millville. I agree with what has been said so far. One thing that I can say is, if the city hasn't looked into it to see if the ordinance or the other word for it has been still in effect, a nuisance property, a fine of $150 has been on the books for a while. If that's still on the books, I would suggest possibly utilizing that. And there are a few places within the city where there's where you can see bulletins, perhaps maybe listing some of those places that do give help. And I do understand some of the public doesn't want to get help, but then other parts of the public that do want to get help, not everybody understands. If, for example, you're an addict, whether it's an alcohol addict or a drug addict, if you go to those places like First Step, which takes care of alcoholism, if you go there and you happen to be intoxicated, they're not going to help you. If you go to a place like Maryville, which is an outpatient as well as an in-house agency that takes care of drug addiction, if you go there and you're high, you're not going to get any help. Also, if you go to Maryville and you need to be an inpatient and there's not enough bedding, you're not getting any help. So there's other agencies that could possibly help. Maybe if we put a list up there, there's places, numbers, and everything that one can call to try to get help. That might even help somewhat of getting some of the help that these people need. And I thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Good evening, Tim Smaragna, Millville, New Jersey. One of the things I want to address with you, Commissioner Hewitt, is that I applaud you that you want to start addressing or continue addressing the homeless situation. But there are some actionable stuff you can do right now, I feel, okay? And I'm going to say, the mini park, every day, valuable resources that you yourself have said are a short supply, okay, are wasted going there for the same thing, probably for the same person or a few people, okay? Even to have them, I've even heard from some of the personnel that they refused Narcan because they didn't want their hide disrupted.
I believe,
You
I've been
know,
told that
so-
by my MPs.
So I know there's ordinances for loitering or panhandling or whatever that. Just the other day, I'm coming down High Street, I was at High in Maine. There was a guy in a green vest walking up to the cars and knocking on the windows and some
For money.
for money. So I politely said, get away from my car, but that's what I think, that's what people, what I'm hearing out there is like they see this every day, day in and day. They say, why can't the city do something? Now you did, I remember, I know I know it's impossible because of what's going on in the city, but you did have an officer planted there, parked there for, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I think, and there was no activity. And as soon as the officer left, it started up all over again. And I just think it's a waste of money when we know what the problem is, we know why the problem, okay? And that brings my next question. I mean, if you propose that, and I know it's not even the discussion phase yet, but if you wanted an encampment for homeless people, what happens to people who don't want to go there and they're still homeless? Can you force them to go there?
Nope.
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, but unless you have a liquor store across the street, I don't think you're going to get many people to go there
Tim.
anyway. So
Tim,
I
I
appreciate
agree
the choir.
100%.
Well, I just wanted to bring that up because I hear that every day, and I see it every day, that same sore spot. And, I know that you guys are limited by what the AG says you can do and the governor and all that, but, I mean, I think that's what people are looking for.
Tim, if I may comment, some towns tried to enact what was known as, first of all the loitering and vagrancy ordinances have been stricken as unconstitutional, so you can't arrest somebody for that. So some towns tried to have what was known as an aggressive panhandler ordinance. So if somebody was constantly begging or knocking on doors and doing things like that and harassing, that they could be charged under that. Those ordinances have been stricken. So you can't do that. You wonder who some of these people are and why they're here and why they're doing that. But the police can't simply arrest. The only way, and we've been through this before, that someone might be subject to law enforcement would be if they're obstructing the entrance of a commercial facility. But generally that's not what they're doing. They're just harassing people as they're walking in. and
They're
asking
smart
for
enough
money.
to stay
Yeah.
that certain amount of distance
Sure,
away from a door.
sure. And I can tell you that many times I've bought meals, when I ask for money. I ask the person, if they ask me for money, I ask them if they're hungry, and I buy them something. Hopefully they then go sell what I bought them to go to the liquor store or wherever, to the local drug dealer or whatever, but it's there. And if your hands are tied, then I don't know if you as a commissioner get with other commissioners in other cities and form some kind of coalition and talk to the AG, talk to the governor and say, hey, our cities are being overrun, help us. I don't know if that's a possibility, but I think it would be worth a try. So,
Appreciate your suggestions and comments. Thank you. That was your 5 minutes. Yes, that's what I said. Your time was up.
Patricia Kears, 409 Peach Drive. I worked in social services for 36 years in this county. I am offended by some of the things that I've heard, but I understand that everyone has a right to their opinion. Number one, nobody at 12 years old sits at their table and says, I'm going to be homeless when I grow up. I want to be homeless. No one wants to be homeless. I am here to tell you there are underlying causes. The biggest one is mental illness. And I would just like to remind everybody, back in the 70s, President Reagan, 70s and 80s, did away with all the mental illness programs we had in this county and put people out on the streets who were unable to cope. That is where this really started. And yes, I'm a flaming liberal. I know I hear it all the time, but I am really offended that people want to do this. They deny treatment because it will ruin their high. That's probably 1 in 10,000 cases. And I think people really need to be a little more compassionate. There are agencies in this county. There was a Human Services Advisory Council with the county. All of the social service agencies, as well as the police departments in each town, elected officials, got together monthly. There was a huge thing published. It was distributed in all public buildings, in libraries, in laundromats, anywhere people could go, and it was bilingual, and it was all the places you could go broken down by problem. And I think maybe that needs to be looked into, see if it's still viable with the county, and that is a basis to start. I don't think we need to put people on buses and ship them out of here or put them in homeless camps. Thank you.
I just want to, I hope I wasn't one that offended you by anything I said, because I know that I walked the streets in Philadelphia about a few years ago, and I gave haircuts to homeless people of all different issues and conditions. I got yelled at by one man because I was interrupting his job. All due respect, sir, go amongst your day. Lady had a medical issue, had no pants on. She was out in the middle of the street. She took as much help as we could give her. She didn't want to be out there, but unfortunately she wasn't able to. I met other people that straight out told me, I want to be here. I don't want anybody's help. And there's other people who were so appreciative of our help, and I made smile, and they were so thankful for someone like myself and the group that I was with, that we were willing to help somebody who's on the street fighting for their lives for whatever reason it may be. If they admitted they were a veteran, or they admitted they have a mental illness, or they have a drug addiction. These people opened up to me, and it was a life-altering moment. I would never deny somebody care or help or anything like that. Everybody needs help. And I would never say we can't help them or don't want to. But I've been in that situation. And there are people who say, I want to be homeless. I don't want your help. But there are others that do ask for help. And we are happy to help those who want it and don't, as any way that we can.
I'll go from Mary right to Mrs. Kears. Mary, you mentioned different facilities. I know a lot of them. I lived that. I sent my grandson all the way to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, because all the helpers said, you got to get him out of the area. He was great for the first month. And then it's like they just shut down. They were collecting the insurance money, and he was in jail in Fort Lauderdale because they back out stealing and everything, just like we were trying to stop. Seabrook House. Probably shouldn't name a name. This phone right here, I know what's going on most everywhere. Seabrook House has had an overdose at least once a day, if not 2 or 3 times a day. That's a rehab facility. Whether it's because of how they vet the people that are going there for help, or how they vet the people that are maybe being sent there by a judge. Tim, 601 Mini Park. I put a lot of time into that, and still do. We inspected it, all the cookers out there and everything. They're all, because that we thought that was a key. If they were propane, they'd have been breaking the law. They're all wood-fired and charcoal-fired. The man knows what he's doing. The mini park is not so much the issue. The mini park is across the street along the tracks. The issue, it goes out 601 High Street, North High Street. The issue is where the cooking and everything is going on. And the issue is at the liquor store. We pick them up drunk out of their mind with the rescue squad. They get dried out. They get a bus ride back. Their first stop is back inside the liquor store. We've tried. There are things. Myself and the solicitor have talked about it. What can we do? Every time we get an avenue, there's a roadblock. That's why I'm asking. I'm not just asking the commission for help and ideas. I'm asking people for help and ideas. All 3 of you had ideas. So that's what's going on with the mini park. Unfortunately, that's just how county communications is so used to. When a call comes in for those 3 properties, it goes out as 601 North High Street mini park. We know where it is. And yes, we have had cars. I have gone with officers and sat there, riding around town. Mrs. Kears, I did not mean to offend anybody. Like I say, I lived this. I'm raising my grandson. He'll be 15 years old next month. He hasn't had parents in his life since he was 4 months old, Valentine's Day 2009, when one police officer called me and said, you have to come to the laundromat on West Main Street and get your grandson, because if not, we're taking him to family services. Because his father, and I'm not afraid to say it, his father and his mother were stealing at 2 o'clock in the morning. It was snowing. They had this baby, 4 months old, in a baby carriage. The mother, they got her at the Wawa, Sharp and Main. The father, who I raised, he's my stepson, ran to the laundromat, jumped in a commercial dryer to try and hide and elude the police. That morning, we were in front of Judge Johnson in Cumberland County Superior Court. And to this day, we still have Nicholas. He doesn't have parents. His parents don't want help. We tried when his father was still a minor, because that's when it started. Started at 15 years old. He didn't want help.
Excuse me.
His mother didn't want help. Now they're in their mid-30s, almost 40. They still don't want help. I realize there's a lot of people that do want help, and I realize that the system also fails them. I didn't mean to insult anybody. I'm just speaking my feelings and my thoughts, because I do live it. And one thing I do not ever want to have happen to my grandson, and he knows it because we talk, is what happened to his mother and father. I'm sorry if I offended you, but I just thought it's time to take the time in an hour work session to have some discussions, because there's an awful lot going on here. There's an awful lot going on that we can't speak about, as me as a commissioner, as other commissioners. I definitely can't, because I know what's going on, but I can't say it. Thank you for listening to me. Tim, thank you. Mary, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing nobody else, will close the public comment portion for this evening. Any resolutions this evening?
We have none, Mayor.
Thank you. You guys have any closing comments? I'm sorry, I should have asked that prior to.
I'm okay, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. So I just need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
All in
Second.
favor?